Hello. This is Lisa Nickel, host of the Sacred and Rooted podcast. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for taking the time to tune in. This is episode 53 and Happiness Habit 19. The Happiness Habit is a series of episodes that are shorter. Most of them are shorter. Just like little injections of joy, ideas, inspiration, meant to help you live a life that you actually enjoy and find that you're excited about and all that good stuff. And happiness isn't really sort of, there's not just any one thing that is going to make you happy, but with a life that feels fulfilling, that you feel purposeful in, then the byproduct of that is a sense of happiness and well-being and a life that you're excited to get up in the morning for. And so that is the whole point of this little series, and really honestly the whole point of the podcast. So here we are. All right, so today I have a little quote from the Tiny Buddha. They're on Instagram. At least I don't know, I'm sure there are other places, but that's where I hang out with them. And the podcast, or not the podcast, the quote goes like this: there are two places you need to go often. 1, the place that heals you, and 2, the place that inspires you. So that's from Tiny Buddha. It's brilliant. It goes like this again. There are two places you need to go often. 1, the place that heals you. 2, the place that inspires you. Basically, I think in the next decades, hopefully not decades, but maybe even shorter than that, I hope. But I think there's a real turn happening here with people on the planet where we really need to, we're acknowledging we're becoming a different society, a different race of humans, not a different race of humans, I shouldn't say that at all, but almost a different way of being human, I guess, in the world. And it's for the better, overall, but there is a ton of kicking and screaming happening by, the way everything used to be kind of folks. And it's pretty brutal, on a lot of days, to look at the world and see how, all the places we can improve. And by acknowledging that, we actually have to look at it. And so it can be hard to do, to see just all the shit that happens in the world, all the wasted lives, all the wasted energy, the wasted money, on things that just aren't sustainable, aren't loving, compassionate ways to treat people or be a person. And so this is where we are. This is where our souls have kind of come into the world at this point in time. And so we all have a purpose here, to kind of move things forward in a direction that is evolving to our highest potential as a human race and a human society. And not even a human society, but just like everything that's alive. I don't even know what the word for that is. I can't think of that word right now. But everything that's like conscious beings, everything that's alive, like the plants, the animals, everything. How to live with everything in a way that isn't crushing to one, group or another or anything like that. So we are moving in that direction, but change is painful sometimes, and not everybody, obviously, is consciously trying to do that. There's a lot of fear around change. And so then if you get so caught up in the fear that you just want to stay the same, because it's, at least you know what it is, and you understand the system, and you know how it works, and you know how to play the game, and it's better than nothing. Like the new is scary sometimes. Unless you're so sick and tired of the old that you're just like, hallelujah. I'm so glad I lived to see this day. Anyway, that's sort of the big picture. What I want to talk to you about today, though, is in your individual lives, in each person's life, we have a responsibility to show up with all of our gifts and all of our, our beingness and our beauty and our, the gifts that we have to kind of convey to heal the world. And so we start small, because that's just everything starts on the inside and moves outward. So don't get overwhelmed with, what's happening everywhere in the world and how in the hell to fix it and whatever. The answers will come organically when enough of us have, reoriented ourselves with our compasses sourced from within. When we are no longer directed by external demands, requests, push pulls, everything. When we are like literally, going within to figure out what's my next step. What do I really want to do? What do I want to do when no one else is telling me what to do? And if nobody else was, demanding my time, what the hell would I do? And so to get down into that kind of questioning so that you have recentered yourself, reoriented yourself from your heart, from your soul, from your divine wisdom, like where you're acknowledging that your energy, your direction comes from the universe, comes from your soul, God, Goddess, Mother Nature, whoever, however you want to refer to it, but that it's no longer, you're no longer being directed like a puppet from, what society tells you, what your mom tells you, what your husband tells you, what your kids want, everything. That's all secondary, and it's only something that you're going to entertain and do if it feels like it works with your heart and your soul. So, back to the quote, there are only two places you need to go often. One, the place that heals you. This life is not, it's not just a bed of roses. It's not just like a walk in the park. Obviously, we all know that. But the only way we want to ensure that we're resourced from within as we go along. And some years are harder than others, some months, some days, all that. And so we need to, our responsibility to ourselves, to our human body, to this life that we each have, is to ensure that we are going to the place that heals us often enough so that we can then come back into the world and be in the world without it draining us and exhausting us and burning us out, and just like we're so worn out, we're laid out flat on the ground, and all the gifts, all the magic that you have never sees the light of day, because you're just so like beat out flat from trying to live in this insane world, because you're allowing the world to that's the only thing you're seeing and experiencing, because you are not going to the place that heals you often enough. And so the place that heals you, you could look at it like land, like an area of the world that you just find absolutely serene, beautiful. Your soul has a connection there that you just can't explain. It could totally be that. And if it is, and you have the resources to get there, then go there often. I would, I totally cheer you on. But it can also be a place in your heart, a place in your soul. It could be a place that you get to in solitude, which literally could be in your closet. You do not need to go anywhere or spend any money to get to the place that heals you. This is a relationship that you are fostering and building with your soul. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about because you have not paid any attention to your soul, to, the unseen forces in the world, that's okay. Now, if you're noticing it, if you're even conscious of it, and that's the first step, that's perfect. And there's no time, you're never too late to show up for your hopes and dreams, what your soul desires are. So if today's the first day you've even thought about it, that's no problem. Perfect. I'm glad you're here. So, as some examples, meditation obviously is like my favorite. It's beautiful. You can do meditations in silence. You can do meditations with mantras. You can do soul journey meditations that really give you like a direct experience with your soul, especially when you're just kind of maybe a little bit newer at it, and need sort of the direction. It's a beautiful way to dive in and really become aware of like the wisdom that it has to offer, and to become conscious of what are your hopes and dreams, and what are you here for? What are you here for? Like, what is cooking underneath the surface that maybe you haven't acknowledged as something that you want to do, or you've been burying it, or you've been putting it off? To bring that to the surface and allow yourself, love yourself enough to allow your hopes and dreams to be brought forth, because that is what you're here for, is to bring forth your desires. And so to go to the place that heals you, it can be a walk in nature, but it needs to be like something in solitude, because you're basically, what you're trying to do is get away from the external demands and to then be quiet enough to hear your soul speaking to you. Maybe it's literally not in words, maybe it's signs, maybe it's a feeling that your body gets. There's a resonation, not a resonation, I don't even think that's the word, but whatever resonates. Just allow yourself the quiet, nature potentially, meditation potentially, whatever. Journaling, just sitting quietly on the couch with a tea, anything that just can bring you back to yourself, and to open up the relationship between you and your eternal self, which is your soul, so that you can work in conjunction with it instead of against it. That would be beautiful. So yes, the place that heals you. The other thing that heals you is just all those things that I said are, in solitude. I mean, they heal you, but you can also think of healing as, what rejuvenates you. So slowing down would be like a general situational thing to do, to allow yourself, wherever possible, to just not fill your schedule as much, to take a sick day or a week or whatever you need. I find myself doing this all the time, where I'll have a section of time where, all of a sudden, the girls have their driver's license now, my kids, and so sometimes they take their brother to wherever he needs to go, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, hey, I got some free time that I wasn't even planning, like I didn't even realize until it's right at me. And so right away I go into like, oh, well, I guess I could, clean up a little. I guess I could do some chores. I guess I could, go get groceries. And so sometimes when I take a check-in with my body and I'm like, what's my energy level at? If I'm feeling tired, now I make myself just, okay, no, you're going to have some tea. You're going to take a book, you're going to read, you're going to sit and literally do nothing and just get used to that feeling. Because I am just so, there's always something to do, right? And a lot of times, my training, I guess, as a human has always been like, get all the chores done and then have fun, or then take a rest and then you can relax. And it's so not true. As far as a longevity kind of sustainable way, allow yourself to take breaks, allow yourself to sit and do nothing, and that's okay. You're not less worthy, you're not lazy, you're not a waste of time. Like all these things that come into your mind where it's like, oh, I'm not getting anything done today. And it's like, it's okay. It's whatever day, who cares, whatever time. Just take some breaks and allow yourself to fill back up. Allow yourself to heal. Allow yourself to integrate experiences you've had all week, all month, all whatever. Allow yourself to integrate, and your body integrating is actually something. It's very important to your overall well-being. And like as a society, we do not take enough time to do that. For women particularly, like the week before and right during your menstrual cycle is prime time to slow down and just be present more, but not necessarily doing as much, if you can possibly design things that way. And that doesn't mean you don't do anything all week or anything, but just to give yourself more bits of space to, get a little bit longer sleep, enjoy lunch with a friend longer than you might would, quiet time with yourself a bit, take longer walks in nature, maybe instead of doing like the weight routine or the workout, dance thing. Just a little more introspective, a little quieter, a little slower, so that, because when you are bleeding or right before, you are very intuitive, you're very receptive, and so it is a really important part of the cycle to integrate and receive, and to then, heal and be ready enough to then go back out into the world the next week. And when your energy levels are higher, when you're more externally oriented, when you're a little more social, in general. So yeah, places that heal you. So that is something. So just as even an inspirational question, what do you find healing? How do you find healing within yourself, and how can you fold those activities, those places, those things into your life? I find it very soothing to have a candle lit. And so even if I am doing something like I'm working or paperwork or whatever, I'll light a candle because it just makes the whole thing a little more lovely. And same with tea for me. That's a big one, where it's just like the tea feels soothing. It feels healing. It feels like I'm taking care of myself. And so even if I'm still doing something else, it just takes the edge off. It slows it down a little bit. It makes it a little more intentional, but it also it feels healing. And so just notice for yourself what those things are, and to incorporate them into your life, and to understand that you need that to be a part of your life. It's just as important as, all the other things. Probably some of the things you're doing you probably don't have to do anyways, but it's just as important as like getting up and going to work, or getting the kids ready for school, or whatever it is, that you need the whole package. And part of the package is, I guess the whole package isn't just go, go, go. The package is, one section is go, go, go. One section is slow down, integrate, heal, rest, so that you can be inspired to proceed with whatever the hell the next month or so is bringing, right? The problem with running too running on fumes, as they say, is that you are not your inspiration poofs out. Like, you just don't have any because you're exhausted, you're worn out, you're just like, why am I dragging myself around everywhere? Like, it just is, it's brutal. And so to allow yourself the healing moments, so that knowing that they foster your inspiration to do whatever the next stretch of time has for you, All right, so there are 2 places you need to go often. 1, the place that heals you, and 2, the place that inspires you. So the place that inspires you comes, like, literally the way this is written is perfect. Like, you have to go to the place that heals you before you can get to the place that inspires you. Because, like I just said, the inspiration comes when you're filled up, when you feel resourced, when you are excited about something, when you're, you got a new idea or you want to try a new thing. Like, that's your inspiration. That's you inspired. And that is how we want to come at life, because that's the only time life feels, like you want to be engaged with life to the point where you're literally excited about life. And sometimes that sounds funny, because maybe in amongst your friends, like, I have friends that are not inspired about life. Now they're more acquaintances at this point, but there's plenty of people that you'll meet in the run of a day, maybe some of your family members, that are just really not inspired about life. They're kind of very fearful, they're very negative, and just unhappy, I would say, in general. And that's to me, that's a tragedy, because it's a waste of their their gifts. The love they have is kind of buried pretty deeply, depending on how old they are. And so your responsibility is to recognize what inspires you. What does it even feel like for you to be inspired? And maybe you have a phase of your life going right now that is hard, that is not inspiring, but that you're moving through, and you kind of have the faith to know that you will again, be inspired. You will again have time to rest, and really kind of integrate the whole experience. And I want to say too, even in a hard, difficult phase, it's not that you can't be inspired. I mean, I know that there's a lot of things going on when you're managing a crisis, whether it's like a health, like a job loss, a death, a divorce, whatever it happens in lots of different ways. But to always be open to the universe and what it is showing you, as far as, during the hard times is when we have to dig the deepest and mine for our own gold, because there is no, or very little, fun, joy, and, it's a little bleak when you're looking out at your life and you're going through a breakdown of some sort, or grieving something. There's not a lot of hope maybe that you can find, but to then dig deep within yourself. And so it really allows you to know what you're made of, to practice all of the tools that you have, that during the good times maybe you were doing them, but that's not really when they're the most valuable to you. When they're the most valuable to you is during the shitty times, and to double down on them, because that's how you will get through whatever you're facing. And so when you're going to the place that inspires you, you're looking for the joy in your life. So whether you invite friends over and have some laughs, whether you're hanging out with your kids and you're having a great time, you can hold both. You can go through hard times and still find the joy, still find the beauty in life. And that is a source of inspiration. You can also take a vacation. You can, as you're healing, you are eventually, it's like inevitable that you will become inspired again. You just have to have the faith to continue to do the healing, to allow yourself the solitude to move through that, and you will find the inspiration again. You can read books, inspirational authors, things that you find really open your mind up to different ways of thinking or being. Music, anything. Just, this is a question for you, personally for you. Where can you go? What can you do that inspires you? I know, there's art that inspires. There's lots of different things. So just to get your mind kind of conscious of, for you, where are you feeling most inspired? Where do you literally go, whether it's a place or whether it's a way of experiencing, different experiences, which could, you don't necessarily need to go anywhere. You can hang out with these people that inspire you. You can find inspiring, hopefully you have some inspiring friends, the ones that keep the bright side available when maybe you're having a hard time finding the bright side. That you need those friends in your life too. And so to just keep that awareness. And so then when you do feel like you're going through a phase where you're like, man, I'm really not sure what to do next. I don't know what I even want to do. I'm not sure what I even want to be. This happens actually frequently when you maybe have a dream that you held for a long time and you've kind of achieved it, and then there's almost like a bit of a depression afterwards where you're sort of feeling like you're drifting because you're not sure like what's the next thing. But to allow yourself that time to one, heal, and two, feel re-inspired, and you will be inspired. There is no need to fear, that some phase in your life will never end, because change is like the only certainty, and then I think taxes is the other one, or death or something like that. But change is just, it'll happen. You'll move on. Nothing stays the same, whether good or bad. So it's very hopeful to know that when you're going through a bad time, and then hopefully you're, super grateful and present for the joyful times and the times that you're really on cloud nine, because they change too. But that is what I wanted to convey here in this podcast episode. Just to know that there's not only one way to be, or like a certain, like if you do this, and this every week, it's going to be the perfect life. You need to be able to flow, to recognize where your energy levels are at, what's happening with you, your external life, whatever, people in your life, and what do you need, and to be checking in and to be fluid with what you need more of or less of in any given week, any given day, month, year, whatever. And to just know that you're constantly just taking care of yourself. Like you are the caregiver of your human body. And so we need to really actually operate more with that in mind, because if your body was like a child, that you would probably take a lot better care of it. And so we're trying to retrain ourselves here, I think, a bit on, to care for ourselves as much as we care for others, because women are like, they're inherently beautiful caregivers. And so we just want to bring some of that into our own life, for ourselves, and to know that as we do that and show ourselves that and model that for others, we are giving others permission to then do the same thing for themselves. And as we evolve as humans and become more caring and loving towards ourselves, we will then naturally extend that even more to others, and the world heals, and on and on. All right, so that is the episode today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share it with a friend. Leave a comment on the reviews. That helps spread the podcast through the ethers to whoever needs to hear it. And I will see you next time. Take care and have a beautiful day.